Hi there rail fans and welcome to Mixed Traction. I'm Matt and today I'm going to give you a rundown from our visit to the West Somerset Railway where we attended the Hymek at 50 event. So if you love Maybach music and diesel hydraulic traction, this is the video for you. Of the 101 Class 35 diesel hydraulic Hymek locomotives that were originally built in the 1960s, only 4 survive into preservation. 2 of those are based on the West Somerset Railway and owned by the Diesel and Electric Preservation Group, who are based at Williton. The first, D7017, was originally purchased in 1975 and that followed a few years later by sister loco D7018. That one was originally purchased with the intention to be used for spare parts, but the group instead decided to restore it to operating condition. With 2025 marking 50 years since the first Hymek went into preservation, the DEPG and the West Somerset Railway decided to put on an event to mark the occasion. So at the very end of August 2025, the West Somerset Railway was alive with the sound of Maybach music. On both Saturday and Sunday, an intensive timetable was in operation featuring both Hymeks. One of the biggest draws was every day there'll be a double-headed service featuring both locos at the same time, pulling a service in the afternoon. In total, on each day, 160 miles of Hymek traction was in operation up and down the West Somerset Railway. Not wanting to miss out on this exciting opportunity, Kate and I decided to pop down to the West Somerset Railway for the weekend to film some Hymeks and even travel behind some as well. So on Saturday morning, Katie and I popped over to Dunster station where we watched the newly overhauled D7017 pull through the station on its way to Minehead. The loco looked awesome. It had just been repainted in chromatic blue livery and even featured the original group logo on the side as it was in 1975. We hopped into the car and then we drove around to Minehead station where we then rejoined loco D7017. The platform was heaving and while here we saw it run around its train to reconnect to the front of the carriages where it would then get ready for its departure back out to Bishop's Lydeard. By this point in time, Kate and I were quite hungry, so we decided to go into Minehead town and we had some breakfast. I think I had a nice toasted sandwich, which is typical of fare when I'm down there. But anyway, had a nice toasted sandwich for breakfast and then we drove over to Williton so we could catch the double-headed service coming back in on the afternoon return from Bishop's Lydeard. While we were there, we had about an hour or so to kill, so we went into the Diesel Electric Preservation Group yard where we got a tour of all of the locos that are currently undergoing restoration and got to see some really interesting work being carried out. While here, Andy from the group gave me special access to get behind the shed so I could then film the locos departing from right by the lineside. That was awesome because it's probably one of the best shots I got all weekend. So thanks, Andy. From here it got quite intensive for us both because then we had to essentially race the train from Williton to Minehead. So back in the car we drove through the countryside and we got to the station actually with quite a lot of time to spare, to be fair. Anyway, the reason why we did that is because we were then getting on that train and boarding it so we could then do a ride up from Minehead to Bishop's Lydeard and back again. I'd never been behind a Hymek before, so to be behind 2 of them was extra special. So we hopped onto the train and made our way through the West Somerset countryside. All of the stations are brilliant, even in the rain. Anyway, when we got to Bishop's Lydeard, the rain had really started to come down, so it was a pretty soggy hour we were waiting for the service back to Minehead. During this time, D7017 was then retired for the day, and then the service was then being pulled back to Minehead by D7018. As I said, we spent about an hour at Bishop's Lydeard, which was nice to get to have a look around the shops and the stations and the platform, but I was also invited into the cab of D7018, which was great because the last time I was in the cab of this loco was in 2007 when it was halfway through its 20-odd year restoration. We departed Bishop's Lydeard late afternoon and we arrived back in Minehead probably around about 5:30. Not wanting to end the day just there, although we were both very tired and definitely ready for a curry, we decided to drive round to Doniford Halt to get one more shot of the loco on its last service of the day back out towards Bishop's Lydeard. This is the shot I really wanted to get because it's one of the most iconic on the whole of the line. Unfortunately, the lighting wasn't great and the clouds had only just started to break from the rain. So although I got the shot, I knew I could do better, which is why we decided to return on Sunday. The next day we had a slightly less intensive schedule and the weather had improved substantially. So we started with breakfast as always in Minehead and then we drove over to Blue Anchor. We spent a little bit of time at Blue Anchor because we knew if we waited long enough we'd be able to not only see the double-headed Hymeks service come in, but we'd also be treated to the Class 33 D6566, which was also in service up and down the line that day. I positioned myself on the beach and Katie went over to the station so we could cover all angles. The seafront at Blue Anchor is one of my favourite places to see the trains on the West Somerset Railway because you can get really close and you've got the sea right behind you. It's almost perfect. I know I really wanted to get close to the line, but unfortunately between me and the line were a load of brambles, but in the name of photography and videography, I persevered, I found a path through and I managed to put my GoPro on the fence post in the brambles. I didn't get scratched, but it was close at times. Anyway, we were at Blue Anchor for a good hour and yes, we did manage to get both the Class 33 and the double-headed Hymeks too. After Blue Anchor, we returned to Doniford Halt. This time I was intent on getting the absolute best shot I possibly could, and thankfully the weather had improved, the lighting was perfect, everything was in place. After a bit of waiting, we finally saw the double-headed service snake through the countryside with Helwell Bay in the background and the lighting, almost perfect. I couldn't have asked for any more. It was honestly my favourite bit of the weekend, and with the wind blowing in the right direction, we could hear the Maybach engines powering up in the distance at Watchet Station. It was brilliant. With the day drawing to a close, we went back to Minehead and then spent an hour or so at Seaward Way crossing. Here we once again saw Class 33 D6566 and we also managed to catch the final Hymek service hauled by D7018 on its return to Bishop's Lydeard. It was a jam-packed weekend with lots of running around. Despite the rain on Saturday, it was awesome to poke my head out of the window of the carriages and not only seeing but hearing two Maybach engines in symphony was incredible, and I would honestly do it again in a heartbeat. The DEPG and West Somerset Railway put on a really great weekend and I can't wait for them to do something similar again in the future. It was brilliant for heritage diesel fans or just train fans in general. I had a great time and I'm pretty sure Katie did as well. I'll leave you with one question. Have you ever travelled behind a Hymek? And if so, when? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you again soon.